You're listening to Just My Show, your number one source for pop culture.
So let's go back to the beginning, because it wasn't easy to get this show on the air. Tell me about that first pilot and how different it was from the show that we all know today.
Well, the first pilot was a part of Love in American Style, Love in the Happy Days. It was called, one little segment, and we had Harold Gould as the father. We didn't have Erin Moran. We had another little girl. We had a lot of different people, and this was just right before American Graffiti. Then American Graffiti came out, and they said, "Wait a minute, this '50s business is people really are interested in this." So then, like a year later, we remade the pilot, and they got Tom Bosley, whom they wanted in the first place, and recast the script. And it's so funny about the great Fonz, the great Henry Winkler, because Gary Marshall said, I really was looking for a bigger kind of guy. But he said Henry Winkler walked in, and he was 10 feet tall. So that was the beginning of the Fonz, and the Fonz really took over the whole show, and the network wanted to do a spin-off a show called The Fonz, and let him be the new star. And he, thank God, decided that he didn't want to do that. He wanted to stay with the Cunningham family, and Ron Howard tells that he felt quite depressed, really, that the Fonz walked away with his show, but because Ron didn't quit, he stayed. The two of them built that show together, and it was 50-50, and consequently we got to keep the family. We got to be in there all the time. Otherwise, we would have been gone. So 11 seasons later, it's been wonderful, because we feel we raised America, and Henry is so famous as the Fonz and so adored still. And poor little Ron Howard, whatever happened to him?
I know. Someday maybe someone will give that kid a break.
I tell you, we kind of knew we knew he was going to be a director, but we had no idea that he would become the biggest man in Hollywood.
And I was going to ask this a little bit later, but he's not the only director from that show. Other people have done it too. Was that because there's just a lot of natural talent on that show, or is it because of the way Gary Marshall sort of, let everyone learn from him and the crew?
Gary Marshall became a great director himself, as you know, with Pretty Women, and everything he touches is a big hit. He did create an atmosphere. He said one time, this is Camp Marshall Mount, it's like going to camp here, and we're all just playing. And it's like one time he came in my dressing room and he said, "That joke isn't working for you, is it? I'll fix it. In other words, it wasn't my job to fix it. He'd fix it. It was everyone was a gentleman, I must say, from Ron setting the tone. We all worked together. There was no throwing the script in the middle of the table and saying, "I can't do this." We didn't have that kind of behavior anywhere.
Now, I want to get to more of that on the cast in a second, but I want to ask you about another cast member before we get past the early part of the show, because he's not going to be there. Of course, everyone, I'm sure, asked you about Chuck.
I know it.
What was the? I'm not sure I've ever heard anyone say what the original intention for the character was.
Oh, Tom and I felt so bad. We're the world's most careless parents, We did one show where we went on location. We were supposed to be in Hawaii, and we went to Malibu. We were shooting at night in Malibu on the beach. Tom says to me, "Don't look around." He said, "I think I see Chuck." Well, we discovered that the writers discovered that they really didn't need him. So we just forgot him. Isn't that sad?
For more, go to www.justmyshow.com.